The morning sun cast long shadows across the New Haven colony as Lisa Martinez walked through the busy streets. As governor of this peaceful world, she loved these early hours when the air was cool and the colonists were starting their day. Children ran to school while their parents headed to work in the mines or farms. The sound of laughter mixed with the gentle hum of machines working in the distance. Lisa stopped at the market square where humans and Zilari worked side by side. The Zilari were strange but friendly creatures who looked like large dolphins with arms and legs. They had lived on this planet long before humans arrived 15 years ago. Instead of fighting, both species had learned to live together in peace. The Zilari taught humans about the underground lakes and caves, while humans shared their technology and farming methods. "Good morning, Governor Martinez," called out Bob Harris, who ran the engineering department. He was checking the solar panels that powered the colony. "All systems are running perfectly today," Lisa smiled and waved back. New Haven was her life's work. She had been here since the very beginning, watching it grow from a small outpost to a thriving city of 50,000 people. The planet had everything they needed: clean water, fertile soil, and rich mineral deposits that Earth desperately wanted. Commander Jake Sullivan was waiting for her at the government building. He was in charge of the colony's defense force, though there had never been much need for protection. New Haven was far from the main space routes, and most alien species were peaceful traders. "Morning, Lisa," Jake said, but his face looked worried. "We picked up some strange signals last night. Long-range sensors detected ships moving toward our system." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "What kind of ships?" "We're not sure yet. They're still too far away to identify. Could be traders, could be explorers, but there are a lot of them." Jake led her to the command center where Lieutenant Amy Brooks was studying the sensor data. Amy was young but smart, one of the best pilots in their small fleet. She looked up as they entered. "Governor, we've got a problem," Amy said. "I've been tracking these signals all night. There are at least 50 ships heading straight for us. They're not responding to our communication attempts." Lisa studied the screen showing dozens of red dots moving toward their system. "How long until they arrive?" 6 hours, maybe less," Amy replied. "And Governor, these aren't exploration ships. They're moving in attack formation." The room fell silent. New Haven's defense force consisted of only 12 old patrol ships and a few hundred security officers. They were meant to handle small problems like equipment failures or minor disputes, not a full-scale invasion. "Send a message to all department heads," Lisa ordered. "Emergency meeting in 1 hour. And get me a direct line to the Zilari Leadership Council." As the staff hurried to carry out her orders, Lisa felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on her. 50,000 lives depended on the decisions she would make in the next few hours. The Zilari leader, Elder Finn, arrived at the government building within minutes. His large black eyes showed the same worry that Lisa felt. The Zilari had lived in peace for centuries, and they had no weapons or military experience. "My people are frightened," Elder Finn said in his careful English. "Many want to hide in the deep caves, but we cannot abandon our human friends." "We'll figure this out together," Lisa promised, though she had no idea how. The emergency meeting was grim. The department heads gathered around the conference table, their faces pale with fear. Bob Harris reported that the colony's shields could protect them from small attacks but not from a large fleet. Dr. Carl Peterson, the chief medical officer, warned that the hospital was not equipped to handle massive casualties. "We need to evacuate," suggested one of the mining supervisors. "Get everyone to the transport ships and leave the planet." Jake shook his head. "We don't have enough ships to evacuate 50,000 people. And even if we did, where would we go? We're 200 light-years from Earth." The debate continued for an hour, but everyone knew the truth. They were trapped. Then Amy burst into the room, her face white with terror. "Governor, you need to see this. The ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're here." Lisa rushed to the command center and gasped at what she saw on the main screen. Dozens of massive warships hung in space above New Haven like dark clouds. They were unlike anything she had ever seen: black metal, Hulls covered in weapon ports and strange alien symbols. A communication signal came through, and the main screen flickered to life. The creature that appeared made everyone in the room step back in fear. It looked like a giant insect with 4 arms and glowing red eyes. Its voice was harsh and mechanical. "Primitive creatures of this world," the alien said. "I am War Commander, Zeth of the Vorthic Empire. Your pathetic colony now belongs to us. You have 1 hour to surrender completely, or we will destroy your cities and take what we want from the ruins." The screen went black. The room was silent except for the sound of people breathing heavily. "What do we do?" whispered Bob Harris. Lisa looked around the room at the faces of her friends and colleagues. These were good people who had worked hard to build something beautiful on this distant world. They didn't deserve to be enslaved by alien monsters. "Amy," she said quietly, "is the courier ship ready to fly?" Amy nodded. "The Swift Arrow is fueled and ready. But Governor, the Vorthak ships are blocking all the space routes." "Nothing can get past them." "Maybe something small and fast can," Lisa said. "I need you to get to Earth. Tell them what's happening here." "Ask for help. Earth is 200 light years away," Jake protested. "Even if Amy makes it through the blockade, it will take weeks to get there." "We don't have weeks." Lisa knew he was right, but she also knew they had no other choice. "Amy, you're our only hope. The Swift Arrow is the fastest ship we have. Can you do it?" Amy straightened her shoulders. "I'll get through, Governor, I promise." As Amy ran to prepare her ship, Lisa turned to the others. "We need to buy her time. Evacuate the children and elderly to the underground caves. The Zilari can guide them through the tunnel systems. Everyone else, we're going to have to resist as long as we can." "Resist with what?" asked Dr. Peterson. "We have 12 patrol ships against 50 warships." "We have something they don't," Lisa said. "We have our home to fight for." Outside, the Vorthak ships began moving closer to the planet. Lisa could see them through the command center windows, dark shapes against the blue sky. Soon, alien soldiers would be walking through the streets where children had played just hours ago. The colonists worked frantically to prepare for the invasion. Families said goodbye as children were led to the safety of the caves. The small defense force prepared their weapons, knowing they faced impossible odds. The Zilari organized their people to help with the evacuation, their peaceful nature making them natural helpers even in this crisis. Amy Brooks ran across the landing field to her ship, the Swift Arrow. It was a small, fast courier vessel designed for carrying messages between colonies. Now it carried the hopes of 50,000 people. As Amy started the engines, explosions lit up the sky above. The Vorthak ships had begun their attack, testing the colony's defenses. The battle for New Haven had begun, and everyone knew it would not last long. The Swift Arrow lifted off into the chaos, its pilot determined to reach Earth or die trying. Below, Lisa Martinez watched from the command center as her world began to burn. She had sent their only hope into the darkness of space, but she knew the odds were against them. The Vorthak had come to take everything they had built. But Lisa Martinez was not going to give up without a fight. Amy Brooks gripped the controls of the Swift Arrow as explosions lit up the space around her. The Vorthak warships had formed a tight blockade around New Haven, and getting past them seemed impossible. Her small courier ship was fast, but it was not built for combat. "Come on, baby," she whispered to her ship. "We can do this." The Swift Arrow darted between the massive alien vessels like a tiny fish swimming between sharks. Amy had turned off all unnecessary systems to reduce her ship's energy signature, hoping the Vorthak sensors would not detect her. Her heart pounded as she watched enemy ships pass by her view screen. So close she could see their weapon ports, a Vorthak patrol ship suddenly turned toward her. Amy held her breath as the alien vessel moved closer. Its sensors swept across her position, and for a terrifying moment she thought she had been discovered. Then the patrol ship turned away, apparently deciding that her small courier ship was just space debris. Amy waited until the patrol ship was far away before firing up her main engines. The Swift Arrow shot forward like a bullet, racing toward the edge of the star system. Behind her, New Haven grew smaller and smaller until it was just a tiny dot of light. She had made it past the blockade, but her problems were just beginning. Warning lights flashed across her control panel. The ship had taken damage from the explosions during takeoff, and several systems were failing. Her faster-than-light drive was only working at 30% power, which meant her journey to Earth would take much longer than planned. "This is going to be a long trip," Amy said to herself. Back on New Haven, the situation was getting worse by the hour. Vorthek landing ships had touched down near the main city, and alien soldiers were marching through the streets. The creatures were even more frightening up close than they had appeared on the communication screen. They stood 7 feet tall, with thick armor covering their insect-like bodies. Governor Lisa Martinez watched from her office window as Vorthak troops forced colonists out of their homes. Families were being separated, with the strongest adults taken to work camps while children and elderly people were herded into detention centers. "They're moving faster than we expected," said Commander Jake Sullivan. He had been coordinating the resistance from underground tunnels, but his small force could do little against the overwhelming enemy numbers. Dr. Carl Peterson had set up a hidden medical station in the basement of the hospital. He was treating wounded resistance fighters while trying to maintain his cover as a harmless doctor. The Vorthek allowed him to continue working because they needed someone to keep their new slaves healthy. "How many wounded today?" asked Nurse Helen Davis as she helped Carl tend to a colonist who had been beaten by Vorthek guards. "Too many," Carl replied sadly, "and it's only going to get worse." In the underground caves, Elder Finn was organizing the Zalari and human refugees. The cave system was vast and well hidden, making it the perfect place to hide from the invaders. The Zalari knew every tunnel and underwater passage, which gave the resistance a major advantage. "The Vorthak cannot swim like we can," Elder Finn explained to Sam Walker, who had become the leader of the human resistance. "They fear the deep water. We can move freely through the flooded tunnels while they must stay on dry land." Sam nodded as he studied a map of the cave system. He was a former mining engineer who knew the planet better than almost anyone. "We can use the underwater routes to hit their supply convoys and disappear before they can respond." Meanwhile, Amy Brooks was discovering just how damaged her ship really was. 3 days into her journey, the life support system began failing. The air recycler was making strange noises, and the temperature inside the ship kept dropping. She had to wear her emergency suit just to stay warm. The worst problem was the faster-than-light drive. Every few hours, it would shut down completely, forcing Amy to restart it manually. Each restart took longer than the last, and she worried that eventually it would fail completely and leave her stranded in empty space. "Computer, how long until we reach Earth at current speed?" she asked. "At current velocity, arrival time is approximately 47 days. The computer replied in its calm electronic voice. Amy's heart sank. 47 days was far too long. By the time she reached Earth and brought back help, everyone on New Haven would be dead or enslaved. She had to find a way to make the ship go faster. She spent hours crawling through maintenance shafts, trying to repair the damaged drive components. Her engineering training helped, but she was a pilot, not a mechanic. Every fix she made seemed to create 2 new problems. On day 7, disaster struck. The faster-than-light drive shut down and refused to restart. Amy tried everything she could think of, but nothing worked. She was stranded in the empty space between star systems, with no way to call for help. Back on New Haven, the Vorthak had turned the once peaceful colony into a prison. Work camps had been built around the mining sites, where humans and Zalari were forced to dig for valuable minerals 18 hours a day. Those who resisted were beaten or worse. Governor Lisa Martinez had been captured on the 3rd day of the occupation. She was now being held in a detention center with other government officials. The Vorthak wanted her to sign documents that would officially surrender the colony, but she refused. "Your resistance is pointless," War Commander Zeth told her during one of his visits to her cell. "Your people suffer because of your stubbornness. Sign the surrender, and I will make their lives easier." "Never," Lisa replied. "This is our home, and we will never give it up willingly." The alien commander's red eyes glowed with anger. then they will continue to suffer. Despite the harsh conditions, the resistance continued to grow. Sam Walker and his team used the underground tunnels to attack Vorthok supply lines. They would emerge from hidden cave entrances, strike quickly at enemy convoys, and disappear back into the tunnels before the aliens could respond. Dr. Carl Peterson had become an important part of the resistance network. He passed information between different groups and helped wounded fighters get back into action. The Vorthok trusted him because he appeared to be just doing his job as a doctor. "The aliens are planning something big," Carl whispered to Sam during a secret meeting in the caves. "I overheard them talking about bringing in more ships and equipment. They're preparing for a long occupation." Elder Finn had organized the Zalari into an effective intelligence network. His people could move through the water-filled tunnels without being detected, allowing them to observe Vorthok activities throughout the colony. "The enemy fears our underwater passages," Elder Finn reported. "They post guards at tunnel entrances, but never venture inside. We can move anywhere we wish without being seen." Amy Brooks had been drifting in space for 2 weeks when Salvation finally appeared. Her long-range sensors detected a ship approaching her position. At first she feared it might be a Vorthok patrol, but as it came closer she recognized the design. It was a human vessel. The ship was the UES Ranger, a patrol cruiser commanded by Captain Ben Harper. They had picked up Amy's distress signal and come to investigate. "This is Captain Harper of the UES Ranger," came the voice over the radio. "We're detecting a human ship in distress. Please respond." Amy nearly cried with relief. "Captain Harper, this is Lieutenant Amy Brooks of the New Haven Defense Force. I have an urgent message that must reach Earth Command immediately. We'll bring you aboard, Lieutenant. Prepare for docking." Within an hour, Amy was sitting in Captain Harper's office, telling him everything that had happened on New Haven. The captain's face grew more serious with each detail. "The Vorthok Empire," he said when she finished. "We've heard rumors about them, but this is the first confirmed attack on a human colony. This message needs to reach Earth immediately." The Ranger's faster-than-light communications system sent Amy's report directly to Earth Command in minutes rather than weeks. Amy felt a surge of hope as she watched the message disappear into hyperspace, but even as hope began to grow, she wondered if it was already too late. New Haven was 200 light-years away, and even Earth's fastest ships would take time to reach them. She could only pray that her friends and fellow colonists could hold on long enough for help to arrive. The fate of 50,000 people now rested in the hands of politicians and admirals on distant Earth. Amy had done her part by delivering the message. Now all she could do was wait and hope that Earth would not abandon them. The emergency session of the Earth Defense Council was unlike anything the government building had seen in decades. Admiral Kate Robinson sat at the large circular table, surrounded by senators, generals, and other high-ranking officials. The room buzzed with worried conversations as everyone discussed the shocking news from New Haven. President Alex Morgan called for silence as he stood at the head of the table. His face was grave as he looked around the room at the most powerful people on Earth. "Ladies and gentlemen, we face a crisis that could change humanity's future in space," the president began. "The Vorthok Empire has attacked one of our colonies. 50,000 human lives are at stake, along with our alien allies, the Zalari." Senator Paul Davis immediately stood up. He was a thin man with gray hair who had always opposed military spending. "Mr. President, we must be very careful here. New Haven is 200 light-years away from Earth. If we send our fleet to fight the Vorthok, we could start a war that brings destruction to our homeworld." General Nick Thompson, a large man with scars from old battles, slammed his fist on the table. "Senator Davis, those are our people out there. We cannot abandon them to alien slavers." "What kind of message does that send to other colonies?" "It sends the message that we are smart enough not to fight battles we cannot win," Senator Davis replied coldly. "The Vorthok Empire controls dozens of star systems. We have reports that their fleet is much larger than ours. Why should we risk Earth safety for one distant colony?" Admiral Robinson had been listening quietly, but now she stood up. She was a respected military leader who had spent her entire life defending humanity. Her voice was calm but firm as she spoke. Senator Davis, I understand your concerns about Earth's safety, but intelligence reports show that the Vorthak have been testing our resolve for months. They have attacked several small human settlements on the outer rim. If we show weakness now, they will only grow bolder. The debate continued for hours. Some council members supported military action while others wanted to try diplomatic solutions. A few suggested abandoning the outer colonies entirely and bringing everyone back to the safer inner systems. Lieutenant Amy Brooks had been waiting outside the council chamber for 6 hours. She was exhausted from her long journey and worried sick about her friends back on New Haven. Finally, a guard told her that the council wanted to hear her testimony. Amy walked into the chamber and felt overwhelmed by the importance of the moment. These people would decide whether her homeworld lived or died. She took a deep breath and began to speak. Honorable council members, I was there when the Vorthak attacked. I saw their ships fill the sky like a dark cloud. I watched families being torn apart as alien soldiers dragged people from their homes. The room was completely silent as Amy continued her story. She described the work camps, the beatings, and the fear in children's eyes. She told them about Elder Finn and the peaceful Zalari who had never hurt anyone but were now slaves. Governor Martina sent me here because she believed Earth would not abandon its people. She believed that humanity stands together, no matter how far apart we may be. Please do not let her faith be misplaced. When Amy finished speaking, many council members had tears in their eyes. Even Senator Davis looked uncomfortable as he shifted in his seat. President Morgan thanked Amy and dismissed her from the chamber. The debate resumed, but the mood had changed. Amy's testimony had made the crisis real in a way that reports and statistics could not. Commander Lavra White from Earth Intelligence stepped forward with new information that would change everything. She was a quiet woman who rarely spoke in public, but her words carried great weight. Mr. President, I have classified intelligence that changes this situation completely, she began. Our agents have discovered that the Vorthak attack on New Haven is part of a larger plan. They are testing our military response and our willingness to defend distant colonies. She activated a holographic display that showed star maps and ship movements throughout human space. Red dots marked Vorthak positions while blue dots showed human colonies. The Vorthak have been moving ships into position around several of our outer colonies. If we fail to respond to the New Haven attack, they will launch simultaneous strikes against 6 other worlds. Over 300,000 human lives are at risk. The room erupted in shocked conversation. This was not just about one colony anymore. This was about the survival of human civilization in space. Furthermore, Commander White continued, our intelligence suggests that the Vorthak view Earth itself as their ultimate target. They believe humans are weak because we avoid large-scale conflicts. A strong response at New Haven could prevent a much larger war later. General Thompson stood up again, his voice filled with determination. Mr. President, we have been preparing for this moment for years. The Terra Defense Armada is ready for action. Our new ships are faster and more powerful than anything the aliens have seen. Admiral Robinson nodded in agreement. The Terra Defense Armada represents the best of human technology and training. We have 200 warships equipped with experimental quantum shields and plasma weapons. Our crews have been training for deep space combat operations. Senator Davis was not convinced. Admiral, you speak of experimental technology. What if it fails? What if we send our entire fleet into a trap? Earth would be defenseless. Senator, our technology has been tested extensively, Admiral Robinson replied. We have quantum entanglement communication systems that allow real-time coordination across vast distances. Our fusion drives are faster than any known alien propulsion. We have advantages the Vorthak do not expect. The President called for a short break so council members could discuss the new intelligence privately. Groups formed around the chamber. As people debated the decision that would shape humanity's future, when the session resumed, President Morgan looked tired but determined. The intelligence presented by Commander White changes everything. This is not just about New Haven anymore. This is about whether humanity will have a future among the stars. Senator Davis made one final attempt to prevent military action. Mr. President, even if we win this battle, we will have made enemies of the entire Vorthak Empire. They will never stop hunting us. Senator, the President replied, they are already hunting us. The question is whether we face them as equals or as victims. The final vote was closer than many expected. 12 council members voted to send the Armada, while 8 voted against military action. It was enough to authorize the mission, but the narrow margin showed how divided Earth's leadership had become. Admiral Robinson was given command of the Terra Defense Armada with orders to liberate New Haven and demonstrate human military strength to the galaxy. The fleet would consist of 200 ships, including the flagship UES Liberty, along with 50,000 Marines and support personnel. As the council session ended, Admiral Robinson found Amy Brooks waiting in the hallway. The young pilot looked exhausted, but hopeful. Lieutenant Brooks, I want you to return to New Haven with the Armada, the Admiral said. You know the planet better than anyone, and we will need local knowledge for the operation. Amy's face lit up with relief and determination. Admiral, I would be honored to serve. When do we leave? The fleet departs in 48 hours. Use that time to brief our tactical officers about New Haven's geography and the Vorthak positions. As Amy hurried away to prepare for the mission, Admiral, Robinson looked out at the night sky through a large window. Somewhere among those stars, 50,000 humans and their alien allies were waiting for rescue. She had promised to bring them home, and she intended to keep that promise. The Terra Defense Armada began preparations immediately. Ships that had been in dock for months were brought to full readiness. Crews reported for duty with grim determination, knowing they were about to face humanity's greatest military challenge. In shipyards around Earth, workers loaded the newest weapons and equipment onto the waiting vessels. Quantum shields that could deflect energy weapons, plasma cannons that could cut through the thickest armor, and communication systems that would keep the fleet coordinated across light years of space. Earth had made its decision. The strongest Armada in human history would soon depart for New Haven, carrying with it the hopes and prayers of an entire world. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humanity's children were threatened. The Terra Defense Armada arrived at New Haven in a spectacular display of human engineering. 200 warships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, their quantum drives creating ripples of blue light across the darkness. At the center of the fleet, the massive flagship UES Liberty led the charge toward the occupied planet. Admiral Kate Robinson stood on the bridge of the Liberty, watching the tactical display as her ships moved into position. Beside her, Lieutenant Amy Brooks pointed out the locations of Vorthak forces on the planet's surface. The main enemy base is here, near the capital city, Amy explained. They have about 30 ships in orbit and thousands of ground troops in the work camps. War leader Krex was in his command ship when the human fleet appeared. The massive Vorthak warrior had been expecting some kind of response from Earth, but nothing like this. His insect-like eyes widened as he counted the approaching vessels. Impossible, he hissed to his officers. Intelligence reports said the humans had only a few dozen warships. Where did all these vessels come from? His tactical officer, a smaller Vorthak with nervous movements, studied the sensor readings. War leader, these ships are using technology we have never seen before. Their energy signatures are completely different from previous human vessels. Krex activated the communication system to contact the human fleet. His image appeared on the Liberty's main screen, showing his frightening appearance to Admiral Robinson and her crew. Human Commander, I am War Leader Krex of the Vorthak Empire. You are outnumbered and far from home. Withdraw your ships now, and we will allow you to leave in peace. Admiral Robinson stepped forward, her voice calm but filled with authority. War Leader Krex, I am Admiral Kate Robinson of the Terra Defense Armada. You have attacked a human colony and enslaved innocent people. Surrender your forces immediately, or we will remove you by force. Krex laughed, a harsh sound that sent chills through the human crew. Your threats mean nothing. My ships have conquered dozens of worlds. Your primitive vessels are no match for Vorthek military might. We shall see, Admiral Robinson replied, then cut the communication. The first battle began within minutes. Captain Rachel Bell, commanding the destroyer Use Phoenix, led a squadron of 12 ships against a group of Vorthek patrol vessels. The enemy ships immediately opened fire with their energy weapons, expecting to destroy the smaller human craft. Instead, the bright green beams struck the Phoenix's quantum shields and simply bounced off. The revolutionary shield technology made the human ships nearly invulnerable to energy weapons. All weapons fire at will, Captain Bell ordered. The Phoenix's plasma cannons unleashed streams of superheated matter that cut through the Vorthek ships like knives through paper. Within seconds, 3 enemy vessels exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The other Vorthek ships tried to escape, but the human vessels were much faster. Lieutenant Commander Steve Rodriguez, piloting his fighter from the carrier Hughes Washington, led a wing of smaller craft in pursuit of the fleeing aliens. This is Eagle Leader to all fighters, Steve called over the radio. Stay in formation and watch your targets. These bugs are about to learn what human pilots can do. The human fighters moved with incredible speed and precision, dodging enemy fire while delivering devastating attacks. Major Lisa Chun, flying alongside Steve, destroyed 2 Vorthek fighters with a single burst from her plasma guns. Eagle Leader. This is Eagle 2, Lisa reported. These alien ships are much slower than ours. It's like fighting targets that can barely move. On the planet's surface, the sound of space battle could be heard as explosions lit up the sky. In the underground caves, Elder Finn gathered the Zalari and human refugees to tell them the incredible news. The Earth ships have come, he announced, his large eyes shining with hope. After all these weeks of suffering, help has finally arrived. Sam Walker, the resistance leader, immediately began organizing his fighters. This is our chance. While the Vorthek are distracted by the space battle, we can strike at their ground forces. Dr. Carl Peterson had been treating wounded prisoners in the work camps when he heard the explosions overhead. He looked up to see human ships engaging the Vorthek fleet, and tears of joy ran down his face. Hold on, everyone, he whispered to the injured colonists around him. Our people have come to save us. The space battle intensified as more Vorthek ships joined the fight. War leader Krex ordered his entire fleet to attack the human armada. Confident that superior numbers would win the day, he was wrong. The Terra Defense Armada's ships worked together with perfect coordination. Their quantum entanglement communication systems allowed instant communication across the entire fleet, making them respond like a single massive organism. Colonel Dan Foster led the Marine Assault Force toward the planet's surface. His troops were loaded into specially designed landing craft equipped with the same quantum shields as the warships. Listen up, Marines, Colonel Foster announced over the intercom. We have 50,000 people down there counting on us. Our job is to liberate the work camps and detention centers. Stay sharp and watch out for each other. The landing craft descended through New Haven's atmosphere while Vorthek ground weapons fired at them. The alien missiles and energy beams bounced harmlessly off the quantum shields, allowing the Marines to land safely near the main prison complex. Meanwhile, the space battle was turning into a complete victory for the human fleet. Captain Tony Garcia, serving as tactical officer aboard the Liberty, coordinated attacks that destroyed enemy ships faster than they could respond. Admiral, we have eliminated 30% of the enemy fleet, Captain Garcia reported. Their remaining ships are trying to retreat to the far side of the planet. Cut off their escape routes, Admiral Robinson ordered. I want every Vorthek ship captured or destroyed. War leader Krex watched in horror as his supposedly superior fleet was being demolished by the human vessels. His own command ship was taking heavy damage, and half his fleet had already been destroyed. How is this possible? He demanded of his officers. Our weapons cannot penetrate their shields, but their weapons cut through our armor like it was nothing. His science officer studied the battle data with growing amazement. War leader, the humans appear to have made enormous advances in military technology. These ships are at least 50 years ahead of anything we have seen before. On the planet's surface, the liberation was proceeding rapidly. Colonel Foster's Marines attacked the prison camps with overwhelming force, easily defeating the Vorthak guards who had been terrorizing the colonists for weeks. "This is Marine Team Alpha," came a voice over Foster's radio. "We have secured work. Camp 7, approximately 3,000 prisoners freed and ready for evacuation." Similar reports came in from teams across the planet. The Vorthak ground forces, caught between the Marines and Sam Walker's resistance fighters, were collapsing everywhere. Governor Lisa Martinez was freed from her detention cell by a squad of Marines led by Sergeant Mike Brown. She was weak from weeks of imprisonment but determined to help coordinate the rescue efforts. "Sergeant, how many of our people are safe?" she asked as they made their way toward the evacuation zone. "Ma'am, we estimate that over 40,000 colonists have been freed so far," Sergeant Brown replied. "The remaining camps should be liberated within hours." Back in space, war leader Krex made a desperate decision. His flagship, the massive dreadnought Terror of Worlds, was the most powerful ship in the Vorthak fleet. He would challenge the human admiral to single combat between their flagships. "Human Admiral," Krex transmitted to the Liberty, "I challenge you to honorable combat. Your flagship against mine. The winner takes control of this system." Admiral Robinson considered the challenge for a moment. Her ship was smaller than the Vorthak dreadnought, but she had confidence in her crew and technology. Challenge accepted. "War leader, let us end this." The two massive warships approached each other while the rest of both fleets watched. The Terror of Worlds was a frightening sight, covered in weapon ports and armor plating. But the Liberty was sleek and fast, built with the most advanced human technology. The duel began with both ships firing their main weapons. The Vorthak dreadnought's massive cannons sent streams of energy toward the Liberty, but the quantum shields absorbed the impact without damage. In response, the Liberty's plasma cannons struck the Terror of Worlds directly in the hull. The alien ship's armor, which had seemed so strong, melted like ice under the superheated plasma streams. Captain Garcia coordinated a brilliant maneuver that brought the Liberty around to the enemy ship's weak side. "Admiral, their shield generators are located on the port side. If we can destroy them, the ship will be defenseless. All weapons, target their shield generators," Admiral Robinson commanded. The Liberty's guns found their target perfectly. The Terror of Worlds' shields flickered and died, leaving the massive ship completely vulnerable. War leader Krex realized his defeat was complete. "I surrender," came the transmission from the Vorthak flagship. "The battle is yours, human admiral." All across the New Haven system, the remaining Vorthak ships began surrendering. The liberation was complete, and humanity had won its first major victory against a hostile alien empire. 3 days after the battle, New Haven was a world transformed. The dark smoke from Vorthak weapons had cleared, and the colonists were rebuilding their homes with help from Earth's engineering teams. Children played in the streets again while their parents worked alongside human Marines to repair the damage. Admiral Kate Robinson stood in the rebuilt government building. Meeting with Governor Lisa Martinez and Elder Finn, maps covered the table, showing the locations of former prison camps that were being converted back into peaceful settlements. "Admiral, I cannot thank you enough," Governor Martinez said, her voice still shaky from emotion. "When I sent Amy on that desperate mission, I honestly did not know if anyone would come." "Earth never abandons its people," Admiral Robinson replied firmly. "That message will now spread throughout the galaxy. Any species that threatens human colonies will know what they face." Elder Finn's large black eyes reflected the morning sunlight as he spoke in his careful English. "Admiral Robinson, the Zalari, people wish to formally request membership in the Earth Alliance. We have seen human courage and honor, and we want to stand beside you as equals." This was an historic moment. The Zalari would become the first alien species to join humanity as full partners rather than conquered subjects. Their request would change how humans interacted with other species throughout the galaxy. Chief Engineer Bob Harris was coordinating the massive reconstruction effort. Earth had sent not just warships, but also construction vessels loaded with advanced building materials and equipment. The new structures being built were stronger and more efficient than the originals. "Governor, we can have the main power grid fully restored by next week," Bob reported during the daily planning meeting. "The new fusion reactors will provide twice the power output of the old systems." Dr. Carl Peterson had established a new medical center equipped with the latest Earth technology. He was training both human and Zalari medical staff to use equipment that could heal injuries that would have been permanent just weeks before. "The psychological trauma will take longer to heal than the physical wounds," Dr. Peterson explained to visiting Earth doctors. "But seeing their world restored is helping everyone recover faster than expected." Sam Walker had been appointed as the new head of planetary security. His experience leading the resistance made him perfect for coordinating between human and Zalari defense forces. The underground tunnel network that had hidden refugees was being expanded into a permanent emergency shelter system. "We will never be caught unprepared again," Sam promised during a security briefing. "The new defense satellites will detect any approaching ships days before they reach our system." Lieutenant Amy Brooks had been promoted to commander for her heroic mission to Earth. She was now working with Admiral Robinson to establish new communication protocols between Earth and the outer colonies. "Commander Brooks, your courage saved this entire world," Admiral Robinson told her during the promotion ceremony. "Earth Command wants you to lead a new diplomatic mission to other colonies that might be threatened." The ceremony took place in the main square where Vorthic soldiers had once marched. Now it was filled with humans and Zalari celebrating together. Children from both species played games while their parents shared stories and food. War leader Krex and his surviving officers were being held in a secure facility while Earth officials decided their fate. The massive alien warrior had been stripped of his weapons and armor, looking much less frightening in simple prison clothes. "What will happen to us?" Krex asked during an interview with Earth intelligence officers. Commander Lavra White, who had traveled from Earth to handle the questioning, studied the defeated alien leader. "That depends on how cooperative you are. We want information about other Vorthic military plans." "The Empire will not forgive this defeat," Krex warned. "They will send larger fleets to destroy your colonies and your homeworld." "Let them try," Commander White replied calmly. "The galaxy has seen what happens when the Vorthic attack human colonies. Now they will learn what happens when humanity goes on the offensive." The interrogations revealed valuable intelligence about Vorthac military bases and planned attacks on other human settlements. Earth Command used this information to warn threatened colonies and position defensive fleets throughout human space. Meanwhile, news of the New Haven victory was spreading throughout the galaxy. Other alien species who had suffered under Vorthic oppression began sending secret messages to Earth, asking for help or alliance. Admiral Robinson received reports from across known space about the changing political situation. "The Mentari Republic wants to sign a mutual defense treaty," she told her staff during a briefing. "The Crystalline Confederacy is offering to share advanced shield technology in exchange for protection from Vorthac raids." The victory had established Earth as a major galactic power, but it also brought new responsibilities. Humanity could no longer hide on the edges of known space. They were now players in the complex politics of interstellar civilization. 3. Weeks after the battle, Earth's President Alex Morgan arrived on New Haven aboard the diplomatic vessel Use Harmony. He came to see the liberated colony and formally accept the Zalari request to join the Earth Alliance. The signing ceremony took place at the shore of the Great Lake, where Zalari and humans had first met 15 years ago. Elder Finn represented his people while President Morgan signed for humanity. Governor Martinez and Admiral Robinson witnessed the historic agreement. "Today, two species become one people," President Morgan declared as crowds of humans in Zalari cheered. "The Earth Alliance is no longer just human. It is a union of all free peoples who choose to stand together." The Zelari had prepared a traditional water ceremony to mark the occasion. Elder Finn and President Morgan each poured water from their home worlds into the lake, symbolizing the mixing of their people's destinies. That evening, Admiral Robinson received new orders from Earth Command. The Terra Defense Armada would remain in the region as the core of a new deep space fleet. Earth was establishing permanent military bases throughout human space to protect against future threats. Admiral, your new assignment is to build alliances with peaceful species while deterring aggressive ones, the message from Earth explained. The galaxy must understand that humanity is both a strong ally and a dangerous enemy. Commander Amy Brooks volunteered for the most dangerous part of this mission. She would lead diplomatic expeditions to worlds threatened by the Vorthek Empire, offering Earth's protection and alliance. I know the risks, Amy told Admiral Robinson as she prepared for her first mission. But after what I saw on New Haven, I cannot stand by while other innocent people suffer. Her first destination was the Kepler 186 system, where intelligence reports suggested the Vorthek were planning another attack. Amy's ship, the newly built UES Ambassador, was equipped with both diplomatic facilities and powerful weapons. As Amy's ship departed for its mission, Admiral Robinson watched from the Liberty's bridge. The young woman who had once desperately fled through a Vorthek blockade was now carrying humanity's message of hope to the stars. Back on New Haven, life continued to improve each day. The work camps had been completely dismantled, and the prisoners' barracks converted into temporary housing for reconstruction workers. Schools reopened with both human and Zelari children learning together. Elder Finn had established a new tradition where young Zelari and humans would train together in the underwater caves. They learned not just swimming and diving, but also cooperation and trust between species. The children do not see differences between our peoples, Elder Finn observed as he watched mixed groups of youngsters playing in the caves. To them, we are simply friends sharing the same world. Governor Martinez stood on the balcony of her restored office, looking out at the thriving city below. The nightmare of Vorthek occupation was over, but its lessons would never be forgotten. New Haven was stronger now, both in defenses and in spirit. As night fell over the colony, the lights of human and Zelari homes created a beautiful pattern across the landscape. In the sky above, Earth's ships stood guard, their presence a promise that no one would ever again threaten this peaceful world. The galaxy had learned a powerful lesson at New Haven. Humanity would travel any distance and face any enemy to protect its people and allies. The age of human expansion among the stars had truly begun, and it would be built on principles of courage, honor, and friendship between species. Commander Amy Brooks, now traveling toward her next mission, carried with her the hopes of countless worlds. The message was simple but powerful. When good people called for help, Earth would answer, no matter how far away or how dangerous the journey might be.